Welcome into Pigskin Perspectives. We are just right on the precipice of another football weekend. College football slate, not great. I mean, we got a six-pack, and it is a six-pack of some great games. The NFL slate, not great either. So, matchup-wise, this weekend, not looking great. But there are still some great games ahead of us. Obviously, repping the Bears jersey tonight. As I film this, they are facing off against the Washington Commanders on Thursday Night Football. We'll get to that when we get to the NFL, but obviously there's bigger news coming out tonight with the Chicago Bears. Legend, Hall of Famer, one of the greatest football players of all time, Dick Butkus, has died. Truly was one of the greatest NFL players of all time. Went to the University of Illinois, probably one of, if not their biggest football alumni that went on to the NFL. Just a big loss for Bears Nation and for the whole football world because, like I said, one of the greatest of all time. So thoughts are with his family members, obviously his friends. Just a tough loss for the football community. But, I mean, we are here to represent the sport that he loved, and that was football. So let's get into it. Although we don't have Illinois in this six-pack of college football games, I believe they play tomorrow night, which would be Friday night, against Nebraska at home. So you might want to tune in for that one. But let's get to this six-pack, because this six-pack is, I told you, I got some good games in here. And these games are truly going to be some enticing ones. We'll start off with the I won't say the biggest game of the weekend, but it probably is. It's the Red River Showdown, Red River Shootout, Red River Rivalry, Red River Duel, whatever you want to call it. It's the Battle of the Red River at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas, at the Texas State Fair. It is number 12 Oklahoma facing off against number 3 Texas at its traditional 12 noon kickoff spot, which is obviously an 11 a.m. kickoff in Dallas. It's a rivalry. Always second weekend in April, or first weekend in April, I should say. This is going to be one of the more hyped up battles of recent years. Obviously, Oklahoma coming into this game, number 12, still undefeated on the year, I believe. And then you have a Texas team, number 3 in the nation. Everybody's thinking Texas is back. This is their first real test since they faced off against Alabama and got that victory. So this is going to be an intense game. Both sides, I mean, this could be a pivotal game changer for their seasons. I feel if Texas loses, it's a setback, but you got to make sure one loss doesn't turn into 2 losses, which turns into 3 losses. Because you got a lot of momentum right now. You're a number 3 team in the nation. A lot of people already talking about how you may be going to the playoff. You know, maybe Texas is back, all that fun stuff. But if Oklahoma wins this game, that immediately boosts them to the, okay, they're real contenders for the Big 12 now. We'll probably get a rematch of this in Arlington, Texas in December at AT&T Stadium for the Big 12 title, which would be fitting given it's their final season in the Big 12, and to have the 2 teams departing the Big 12 after this year facing off for the Big 12 title would be kind of ironic, but then Oklahoma, if they win this game, everybody's talking about them now. Are they going to be the ones that win the pack or the Big 12? Are they going to be the ones that make the playoffs and all that fun stuff? A lot of narratives in this game, still yet to be figured out. This is probably the first real test for Oklahoma this year. Obviously, they've had a few minor tests, I'd say. But this is the first game where we're going to actually figure out what Oklahoma is this year. And it should be quite an interesting watch from the Cotton Bowl on Saturday. Moving on, we get to a 3 o'clock game on the Pac-12 network, so nobody's going to be watching this game because you won't be able to get it. It is number 13 Washington State traveling to Pasadena to face off against a unranked UCLA team. Only have the one loss on the year, which was the Utah game 2 weeks ago, where they lost like 14-7 or something like that. And UCLA is a 2.5-point favorite in this game. That is quite interesting. Obviously, I think UCLA was like, if you counted the receiving votes, they were 27th or 28th in the AP poll this week. So it's not like they're a terrible team. But this should be quite an intriguing game. I'm treating UCLA as a top 25 team because I believe they are. I think they deserve it over LSU, but I think there's teams in front of UCLA that deserve it in front of them and in front of LSU. So I'm treating UCLA as a top 25 team against a Washington State team that's looked really good to start the season. Obviously, they're playing for more than football this year, if that makes sense, because, yeah, not really, because that didn't even make sense to me. They're playing because they don't have a home next year. They were left out to dry in conference realignment. I still don't know if they know what they're doing next year. So they're trying to make a point to the college football world. I guess that's the best way to say it. This should be a very intriguing game. I think UCLA is a very underrated team right now. I think they got a real good shot of going to Las Vegas for the Pac-12 title. They avoid Washington and they avoid Oregon on their schedule. They obviously have USC at the end of the year. If they can get through a pretty easy as you can get in the Pac-12 schedule, and beat USC, I 100% believe they're going to Las Vegas. It would obviously be the one loss to Utah, but I think with tiebreakers and all that kind of stuff, I'm expecting Utah to drop some games. I'd expect UCLA to be in Las Vegas for the Pac-12 title. Are they a playoff contender? I don't think so, because I don't think that they would win whoever they would face off against in the Pac-12 title, because I'm assuming it's going to be Washington and Oregon, or possibly USC, obviously. But I feel like if they beat USC, that knocks out UCLA. It's tiebreakers are it's a jumbled mess. So we'll just leave it at that. I still think UCLA is a very good football team. I think they'll really give Washington State a test in this game. I really like what I'm seeing from Chip Kelly, what he's doing with Dante Moore, his just freshman quarterback from Detroit. I really like what UCLA is doing right now, and I think they actually come away with the victory in this game. I would say home field advantage, but there's really not home field advantage at the Rose Bowl, just given its proximity from Westwood and not a lot of fans going is basically what I'm saying. I think that UCLA come away with the victory in this game. Moving on, you get number 11 Alabama facing off against Texas A&M. Texas A&M, another team that's just, on the outskirts of the top 25, facing off against an Alabama team where I feel like this is their first real challenge since the Texas game. They're facing a really good Texas A&M squad on the road too. I believe the last time they were in Aggieville, of course, Kyle Field, they did lose that game. It's going to be interesting to see if Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide can bounce back from that in what should just be an absolutely amazing game in the 3:30 window on CBS. Moving on to another SEC game, a ranked versus ranked battle. Number 20 and undefeated Kentucky travel down to Athens to face off against the Georgia Bulldogs, the number 1 team in the nation. I don't really think Kentucky has a chance in this game. I think that they can keep it close for 3 quarters and then Georgia pulls away. But although I said on Tuesday that I think something's wrong with Georgia, which I still do, I still don't think Kentucky has the players to compete with them, and Georgia still runs away with this game in the fourth quarter. The 7:30 window on ABC, number 10 Notre Dame travel down to Louisville, Kentucky to face off against the 25th ranked and undefeated Louisville Cardinal. Notre Dame, their third straight 7:30 kickoff, so their third straight primetime game. They obviously lost Ohio State in the first one on the last second. Barely beat Duke in the second one on the road. This is going to be another real test for them in this game. I know I was low on Louisville coming into this season. I didn't think Jeff Brom would get it turned around this quickly. Well, he kind of did. So I think Notre Dame's going to really be tested in this one, but somehow, some way, they'll sneak away with the victory here, just like they did last week against Duke, and they will continue their push to try to get a bid in the playoff with one loss. Moving on to the final game of our 6-pack. It is a group of 5 game. It might be one of the more important group of 5 games this year, with, of course, the highest ranked group of 5 team getting in a bid into the New Year's Six Bowls. This game, I feel like, might have major implications on that, and that is number 24, Fresno State, traveling to Laramie, Wyoming, to face off against the Wyoming Cowboys. We obviously saw what Wyoming did to Texas Tech in week 1. Now, Texas Tech has turned out not to be a good team. That's on me. I said that they were going to win the Big 12 this year. That is clearly not happening. Fresno State, though, has looked really good all season. They look like a really good group of 5 team that can obviously get that group of 5 bid to the New Year's Six and then probably beat I'll just say like an SEC team that's on like 10-2 and all their good players are sitting out for the NFL draft. I think that there's a real good shot that they would win a game like that. But don't sleep on Wyoming either. Wyoming is a very good team. If Wyoming win this game and somehow run the table and go undefeated the rest of the year, there's a quite good shot that Wyoming is that team that is in that New Year's Six conversation, which I didn't expect to be saying at all this year. But it's a distinct possibility. They're getting the national spotlight, an 8 o'clock kickoff on Fox in what should just be an astounding game of college football. These two teams should just put on a show. So given that is the 6-pack, as we always do, we will recap that and any other major developments from the college football world in the recap show, most likely on Sunday evening. But let's move on to the NFL. Like I mentioned, Chicago Bears, Washington Commanders facing off right now. The Bears are up early. Will they be able to hold on to the lead is the biggest question. Obviously, they couldn't do that last week against the Broncos. It's going to be interesting to see if they can do it here against the Commanders, looking for their first win on the season. I feel like if there's any game that they're going to do it, it's probably going to be this game. So we'll see if they can do that. Moving on, we'll start to preview our Sunday games. We'll first mention it is the first week or the first eligible week of bye weeks. So 4 teams have gotten the disadvantage, I guess I would say, of having the first bye week of the season, because then you're playing what that would be 13 straight games, I believe, without a break. Could be something like that. But you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Seattle Seahawks, Cleveland Browns, and Los Angeles Chargers all on the bye week this week. So moving on, we'll get to Sunday now. A 9:30 a.m. Eastern kickoff in London once again. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars facing off against the Buffalo Bills. This time the Jaguars are technically not the home team. It is the Buffalo Bills, as they are the home team, like I said, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Obviously, that is not where the Jaguars played last weekend. They played at Wembley Stadium. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium is basically the home away from home for the NFL. In the future, I feel like if a franchise does move to London, it would be their home base. But it is the Jaguars and the Bills. Jaguars obviously have been in London for a while. The Bills, I believe, flew out today or tonight or something like that. So it's going to be a quick turnaround that they're going to have to get those body clocks set, where I think the Jaguars might have an advantage here, given that they have been there for almost 2 weeks now. I think that's going to play a big factor in this game, which is why I'm actually giving the upper hand to the Jaguars in this game. The Bills are the much better team on paper, but I'm giving the advantage to the Jaguars because they've been in London for a week and a half. So they, I believe, will somewhat upset the Bills here, and it will be a big shock, but I believe that they come away with the victory here. Moving on to the 1 o'clock window, and the first game of this window, it is the team that was in London last week. It is the Atlanta Falcons playing host to the red hot, as of right now, Houston Texans. Biggest thing for me when I saw this, I'm like, the Falcons aren't on a bye this week. I feel like every time if you go over to Germany, London, either of those places, when you come back, you have a bye week. I feel like that's kind of changed in the past few years, as teams are now not getting a bye week when they come back. I know that was like 10 years ago, even less than that. It was basically set. If you're going to London, you're having a bye week the week after. So for the Falcons to be playing this week kind of worries me. And they're going up against a really good Texans team right now that's still in a rebuilding phase, but they're still a good team. I think they're sneaky good. Given the division isn't good, they have a shot of winning the division. So I think the Texans come away with the victory here. The Carolina Panthers travel to Detroit to face off against the Detroit Lions. The 0-4 Panthers, I'm not expecting much from in this game, which is why I expect the Lions kind of run away with this game. But I know that was said last year when the Lions traveled to Carolina on Christmas Eve, and if they win this game, they're really in a driver's seat for a playoff spot, and then they just get blown out by the Panthers. Could I see that possibly happening again on Sunday? I don't know about blowout, but I could see, the Lions reading a bit too much into the headlines, and then, they come out slow and the Panthers sneak away with the victory. I can see that happening, but I'm not expecting that to happen. I expect the Lions to kind of run away with this game. The Titans traveled to Indianapolis to face off against the Colts. A 1 o'clock kickoff here, a AFC South battle. The Colts, I mentioned it on Tuesday. I don't know about Anthony Richardson, because every time he plays, it's 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and you can't live like that as an NFL quarterback. I need to see him taking maybe 2 steps forward this week and then 1 step back. I need to see some development this week from him. I know it's only week 5, and, obviously he's probably got a long career ahead of him. But I need to see something here to believe in this Colts team. Jonathan Taylor may be playing maybe. We'll see about that. If he does, I still like the Titans in this game, even though Ryan Tannehill is not a good quarterback. That's quite worrying to me about how bad he's kind of looked this year. He had a good game last week, but the Bengals, something's very off there. This is a tough game to predict. I'll just go with the Titans because I kind of feel like they're just the better team on paper, which I know that doesn't win games, but they just feel like the better team there, so I'm going to go with them. The New York Football Giants traveled down to Miami to face off against the Dolphins. The Dolphins may put up another 70 points in this game with how bad the Giants' defense has looked, so I expect the Dolphins to win this game by a large margin. The New Orleans Saints traveled to New England to face off against the Patriots. The Patriots just looked so bad that I'm just picking the Saints on principle here because the Patriots have looked that bad. An AFC North battle, the final 1 p.m. kickoff game. It is the Ravens and the Steelers. And kind of just like with the New England game, the Steelers look absolutely atrocious, so just because of that, I'm picking the Ravens to win this game. Moving on to the 4:05 window, we got 2 games in this window. You have the Bengals traveling to Arizona to face off against the tanking Cardinals. This is a game that the Bengals have to win. If they don't win this game, the season's already gone. If you end up looking like the Dallas Cowboys against the Arizona Cardinals, as in like the Cowboys when they played the Cardinals, and keep the Cardinals in the game and they somehow win this, the Bengals are done for the season. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to LA to face off against the Rams. This should be a quite enticing battle. Cooper Kupp, believe, is back this week. I think that's been officially confirmed. I know he came off the IR, so he should play this weekend. Will that be a big effect? I don't know. Obviously, the Eagles, one of the 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. So I'm going to expect the Eagles to win this game, but if the Rams somehow sneak away with it, it will not shock me at all, but my official pick will be the Eagles here. The New York Jets travel to Denver to face off against the Broncos. Zach Wilson versus the Broncos defense is a stoppable force versus a movable object. What will be the outcome here will be quite interesting. I honestly have no idea what to think of this game. Obviously, the Broncos had that amazing comeback against the Bears last weekend. The Jets put up a real fight against the Chiefs. I'm going to lean the Jets in this game, but would not be surprised if the Broncos win because Zach Wilson can look really good in one game, which is what he did on Sunday, and then look absolutely, absolutely terrible the next week, which I can easily see happening, which is why I can see Denver winning this game. It won't be because Russ is cooking or any of that. It will be because Zach Wilson's making mistakes. But I still am going to lean the Jets because maybe this will be 2 weeks in a row that Zach Wilson gets it done. Moving on to the other 4:25 game, it is the Kansas City Chiefs against the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. The Vikings just, they can't get it all together, which is why I expect the Chiefs to roll in this game. The Sunday night game, it is the Dallas Cowboys against the undefeated San Francisco 49ers in what should be a real test for the Dallas Cowboys against a very, very good 49ers team. I'm expecting the 49ers to come out on top here. And then the Monday Night Football game is the Green Bay Packers against the Las Vegas Raiders. Devontae Adams facing his former team. Given that the Packers have had a basically bye week in between games because they played on Thursday night, now they're not playing till Monday, I'm very much leaning in their direction because of that specifically. A lot of rest. I know some injuries were still kind of hampering the team. Maybe that will be finally enough that, most of them get healed over this break and they can finally put forward a very good performance and get a win against a Raiders team that does not look good right now. So given that, that is going to be it for this episode of Pigskin Perspectives. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hit like if you liked it. Hit subscribe if you really liked it and stumbled across it and haven't subscribed yet. Tell anybody you know about the channel. Like I said, we'll be back on Sunday most likely for a college football recap. Then we'll be back on Tuesday for an NFL recap. Then we do it all over again. We got only a finite amount of games in this football season, so we got to enjoy it all that we can. So we will be back on Sunday for another episode of Pigskin Perspectives.